How many of you have a fantastic portfolio of endorsement letters? Can I see a show of hands? Not too many. Now, does that mean you just don't have a lot of past customers? No. If I were to go to your office and I were to sit down and we were to seriously come up with the people in your life who you've listed and sold that think you're terrific, you'd be amazed. Here's the problem. We don't know how to ask. When I first started out, if somebody said, we love the house, we love the neighborhood, thanks, Kennedy, you'd run into them at the grocery store or something, I'd say, oh, if you get a chance, drop me a note. Would they ever do it? No. Why? Because that communication is not specific enough. One night, as my confidence began building, and I became more certain and more confident, someone said to me, gee, you did a great job. And this is what I retorted with, and I'd like you to write it down because it's an example of my communication. It's called the urgency dialogue, or the urgency script. They said, you did a great job, Kennedy. I said, I have an urgent request. Now, where's the power in that first sentence, gang? Urgent. We have to understand the power of words. In this day and age, people are not going to pay any attention to us unless we're specific and we're fueling it with passion. I have an urgent request. Can you put your comments about me in writing in the next 24 hours? Now, where's the power there? The deadline. We live in a deadline society. If you don't put a time frame on it, it's not going to happen. You go to an ATM machine, you get cash in a minute. If you don't get your pizza from Domino's on time, you're going to get a free one after 31 minutes, right? People today only understand deadlines. I don't care how much they love you. If you don't give them some parameters, they're not going to receive. They're not going to perform. I have an urgent request. Can you put your comments about me in writing in the next 24? Now, this is high-stakes communication. So if they say, what's the rush? Guess what you retort with? I go out on job interviews every day. Who would ever go out on a job interview without a reference letter? My future rests in your hands. And they said, wow, yeah, okay. And I'm telling you, the next thing you knew it, I had an endorsement letter in my hand. But the follow-up is critical because maybe the following day you will call the secretary. She'll know about it. And sometimes they'll say, dictate whatever you want and we'll sign it off. We think you're great. And I'm not bragging. You've got people like that too. Other times they'll say, well, what specifically can I put in that letter? And you don't brag about yourself. You just ask them a question. Do you think I was worth the fee? If so, why? Pretty soon, oh my gosh, you've got these testimonial letters that say your negotiating skills alone were worth the 6%. A seller should understand that the value of your fee cannot be seen initially. It's in the relationship and in all the skills that come forth as you work together. And so you're using these letters, you're using these endorsements, you're using these accesses to past customers to break down the barriers, that close proximity to the customer that we talked about. Only the third party who is not making a nickel on this transaction, who believes in you, but does an intervention, can do for you what a $50,000 billboard on the highway cannot do. The power of the past customer, the power of the third party. So that's the urgency dialogue. I'll give you one, and this thing really helped me build a 100% referral business inside of 4 years. It's called the double responsibility script. I'll give you the case study. One of my past customers called me, and he said, Danielle, so-and-so, Dr. So-and-so, is going to call you with a lead. And I said, you're kidding. He normally works with my competitor over at ABC Real Estate. And my friend said, oh no, hasn't worked with that individual for at least 9 months. And I said, why not? Doesn't think she appreciates the business anymore. Has 2 or 3 assistants now. Drives a big car. Always busy, busy, busy. Can't speak to her directly. When they call over there to give a lead, the attitude is, well, I hope this person is qualified because Marion can't take time for flakes. Now we laugh. But is it not true that a lot of new babies build their business off of peak performers overflow and negligence? And isn't it also true that we often forget, once we get there, what got us there? As my dear old dad used to say, never forget what got you there. Never forget where you came from. So I'm thinking about all this, and I'm saying to myself, the language that I use when I'm given a referral is critical. Critical. First thing I have to remember is nobody is obligated to call me up and give me a referral. And the day that I start acting like all the business should come my way, even from the people who have continually given me referrals in the past, I'm in trouble. So every time has to be the first time. And I have to show a tremendous amount of appreciation, what I call a rampage of appreciation, in that opening greeting from that person who's going to call me with the lead. And I'll show you what I mean in a minute. Second thing is, have you people ever given somebody a lead and it didn't work out? Suddenly, do you want to stick your neck out anymore? It could be a job interview. It could be a contractor. Somebody didn't do the job. Who looks like a bigger idiot than the person that foiled the work? You, because you knew them and you recommended them. So don't you take a stance? You say, you know what? I'm not going to refer people anymore. Now, there's a lot of folks that have said that in the real estate industry. They said, you know what? I referred a bad real estate agent and I'm not going there anymore. So you need to address that early on in the communication with the person who's giving you the referral. Third thing is we train, and this is what really made my 100% referral business, the business epidemic that I talk about. The third thing is we train the third party how to sell us before we go to the listing presentation or before we go out and show property with that particular buyer. How do we do it? By telling them how great we are? No. By asking a question. So here's the double responsibility dialogue. First thing that happens is we say the rampage of appreciation. I can't tell you how much I appreciate the fact that you're calling me with this business. There's 1,500 other agents in this town. Thank you. And even if they called 2 weeks ago and it didn't work out with another referral, you say it again. It never gets old. Second thing is, you now hit that sore point. I have a double responsibility now. I have to do a good job, not only for the lead's sake, but for your sake, because your name and reputation are on the line. And what they appreciate about that is you've got common sense. You know that you've got to take good care of these people because somebody has stuck their neck out for you. The third thing is we now train them how to sell us behind our back before we get there. So we ask them a question. Enlighten me. Why did you call me specifically? If this is the first time they've ever called you, or what have you heard about me? If they've called you before and you've gotten referrals before, what have you liked about doing business with me in the past that keeps you coming back for more? I never want to forget. And then they'll create the entire sales script. They'll say, well, you know, it took us 2.5 years to find our property, and there was nobody that knew this town better than you, nobody that got us the financial package that was more attractive than you, nobody that assisted every detail better than you. Whatever it is that they say, as soon as they say it, ask them to repeat it to Mr. and Mrs. Prospect prior to your 3 o'clock appointment. And I don't care how they do it. They can do it by foot, they can do it by phone, they can do it by email, they can do it by fax, they can do it by text message. I don't care. But I want them to drop that seed in those people's minds before I get there. And then when I get there, guess what? 50% of my trust building is completed. Oftentimes they would say to me when I got there, were your ears ringing? We were just talking about you. And then you repeat to this brand new prospect, I have a double responsibility now. I have to do a good job not only for your sake, but Mr. and Mrs. Mentor are watching me like a hawk. And I'll tell you, there is a level of confidence and there is a level of honesty that that prospect, that seller, or that buyer is willing to give you that you will not get without that third-party mentor. And if you will absolutely practice this after you leave me, you will be amazed. This alone is worth our morning together.